Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Arundhati Ramnan and these are the top headlines that we're tracking for you this evening. Markets trade in a tight band even as choppiness continues to hold sway. A last-hour rally by financials helps the market close near day's high. All Nifty Bank constituents except the SBI end in the green. The Rupee ends flat 79.81 to the dollar. Crude oil prices remain elevated as supply concerns continue to hold sway. Brent stays above $100 a barrel. Markets buzz with talk that OPEC's output cuts could take place sooner if Iranian supplies resume once it finalizes a nuclear deal. The average remuneration of heads of Nifty50 companies surged to a record 28.4 crores in FY22. Research by Cnbc TV18 shows that JSW Group's Sajan Jindal took home the biggest package in the CMD category. HCL Tech's Vijay Kumar was the highest paid CEO. Outgoing Chief Justice N.V. Ramana refers the issue of freebies to a three-judge bench headed by Justice Chandrachud, also nudges the centre to lead an all-party meeting to develop consensus. The centre refuses to take the lead, bats for a court-appointed panel to give recommendations instead. Over 8 months after board approval, the government's conversation of Vodafone Idea's dues to equity is yet to be complete. Sources say the telco's inability to raise funds and its dwindling subscriber base may be weighing on the centre's mind. The Russian-Ukraine war crosses the 6-month mark as Ukraine marks 31 years of independence. Ukrainian President Zelensky, in an emotional state, says that the country was reborn when the Russians invaded, asserts that it'll never give up its freedom. First up, straight to the market action of the day. Markets traded in a tight band even as choppiness continued to hold sway. A last-hour rally by financials helped the market close near the day's high, and all Nifty Bank constituents except the SBI ended in the green. Anuj Singhal is here with all of the day's market action. Anuj?
Well, the market through the day was flat, but then had that last-hour flourish. That can happen sometimes on the penultimate day of the series. The Bank Nifty really led that move. In the last 1 hour, the Bank Nifty surged 300 points. For the day, of course, it was up 1%, and that led to the decent gains in the Nifty as well. The broader market was doing well through the day today, though. It's just the index woke up in late trade. In the financials, you had all these big names doing well: ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, and Kotak Mahindra Bank, which did well. Among other gainers, you had NTPC, Larsen & Toubro and Grasim doing well. On the losing end, you had few stocks, but not with too much weight on the index. BPCL, Divis Labs and Tata Steel. Let me revisit banks because that really was the sector of the day. The tier 2 banks really were on fire. RBL Bank was up almost 20%. Bandhan Bank, IDFC First Bank also higher. And in some of the other stocks, we had ABB which did well. Canfin Homes was higher and Sun TV as well did quite well. So all in all, it looks like for now the markets dodged some bullet and it's ready to move on. Of course, we need to see if the global markets are supportive or not.
So last hour flourish there on the Lal Street. Thank you so much for those details, Anuj. Now, crude oil prices remain elevated as supply concerns continue to hold sway. Brent stays above the $100 a barrel mark. Markets buzz with talk that OPEC's output cuts could take place sooner if Iranian supplies resume once it finalizes a nuclear deal. Take a look.
The question is how much more can US actually tighten in that environment where the dollar is already getting reasonably strong towards 110. And I think at the price level, probably people will start thinking a slowdown on tightening might be in the card, particularly as the recessionary environments are actually appearing almost everywhere around the world. So I think what we have now is that the financial markets are discounting now recession in the commodity space, whilst actually low inventories and problematics we have on the ground might actually prove that by next year or by later the year, we are actually moving back into a shortage crisis. And we see that by backwardation, we see it on the curve, we see it in delivery issues. So commodity prices will probably go up again for end users.
And in court corner, outgoing Chief Justice N.V. Ramana refers the issue of freebies to a three-judge bench headed by Justice Chandrachud. At the same time, nudges the centre to lead an all-party meeting to develop consensus. The centre refuses to take the lead, bats for the court-appointed panel to give recommendations instead. The U.S. Immigration Department says that it received sufficient H-1B visa applications to meet the threshold for fiscal year 2023. In a statement, the department said that they have received 65,000 regular applications and 20,000 applications under the U.S. Masters category. H-1B is the most sought-after work visa among foreign professionals, including Indians. A Mumbai-bound Indigo flight returned to the taxi bay at the Goa airport after a glitch was detected in one of its engines. The Indian Navy's rescue team helped safely deplane all 187 passengers. The airline said in a statement that the pilot got a momentary engine warning during taxiing on a preliminary analysis. A senior DGCA official said that the warning was spurious and there was no fire. And shifting gears to the auto sector, Maruti Suzuki has announced it will recall more than 160 Desire Tour S cars. The move comes after the company suspected a defect in the airbag control unit. The suspected defect was found in vehicles manufactured between August 6th and the 16th of this year. Mercedes-Benz gears up to introduce 3 new all-electric EVs this year, beginning with the launch of its flagship EV sedan, the AMG EQS 5.3 today. The EQS is priced at over 2 crore rupees ex-showroom. Mercedes also announced its sustainability goals. It aims to ensure carbon-neutral production by 2022 and up to 50% EVs by 2025. And even 8 months after the Vodafone Idea board approved converting interest on deferred spectrum payments and AGR dues into government equity, the centre is yet to complete the transaction. So what's holding the government back? Ashmit Kumar is here to tell us more. Ashmit?
The government had pitched the telecom relief package introduced last year as a catalyst for turning distressed telecom sector into a sunrise space. Now, while the industry has showered praise, one key component of that relief package is yet to take effect, even as we near nearly 12 months since that cabinet nod. Now, that key component has been the scheme allowing telcos to convert interest on deferred spectrum payments and AGR dues into government equity. Now, Vodafone Idea opted for the same scheme on January 11th of this year, 2022. Now, the net present value of interest dues would add up to a little over 16,000 crores. However, nearly 8 months post Vodafone Idea's decision, government is yet to convert outstanding dues into equity. Now, this equity conversion would turn the government into the telecom company's single largest shareholder as of Jan 2022. That would translate into a holding of 35.8%, which is higher than either of the 2 remaining promoter groups. Now, this was anticipated to be a long-drawn process. Any such conversion would require the nod from the Finance Ministry. Vodafone Idea is listed, so it would also require the SEBI nod and finally the approval from the DOT. Now, in March, Vodafone Idea had pleaded before the government to fast-track the conversion process. The company had claimed that it's in talks with various funds for raising funds, in fact, and that equity conversion would help in mobilizing them. Now, at the time, the company was seeking to raise as much as 20,000 crores from promoter groups and external investors. Now, with little movement in April or May, government sources revealed in the month of June that the equity conversion may be completed ahead of the 5G auctions. Now, we had learned at that time that due diligence had almost been completed and that SEBI's final approval is awaited. Now, in July, Finance Ministry granted its nod, pointing at a possible conversion prior to the 5G auctions, but the auctions began as scheduled on July 26th, with still no movement. Now, while the auctions were underway, the telecom minister revealed that technical issues had come in the way and that conversion will take more time. So, are there concerns that the government has on its mind? Well, the company has admittedly struggled to raise funds for its operations from either external investors or the promoter groups. The telecom's customer base has also been bleeding, has been eroding, with lakhs porting out almost every month. And these concerns are taking a toll on the company's finances with mounting losses. Now, speaking of the subscriber base, the first half of 2022 alone has seen the company lose over 88 lakh subscribers. The 12-month period ending with the month of June 30th of this year saw Vodafone Idea lose as many as 1.66 crore customers. And for the 15-month period beginning 1st of April 2021, the company saw over 2.7 crore customers porting out. In fact, the last time the company added subscribers was way back in March of 2021. Now, expectedly, the financials are nothing to write home about. Since the merger, the cumulative losses are pegged at 1.68 lakh crore rupees. The subscriber base has fallen from 422 million to 240 million. That's down by 43%. Meanwhile, the total debt has crept up to nearly 2 lakh crores. Now, the effects of this was visible in the recently concluded 5G auctions. Vodafone Idea's total bid of about 18,800 crore rupees looked bleak against Airtel's bid of 43,000 crores and Jio's bid of 88,000 crores. Now, the nearly 8-month delay in government action is at odds with the recent pace that has been shown by the DoT in execution of spectrum auctions and the fast pace of assigning spectrum to the telecom companies. Now, while the government leaders continue to cite issues, no clarity has emerged on the nature of such issues and the possible timeline for execution.
All right, Ashmit, thank you so much for those details. Now, CNBC TV18 research shows that the average remuneration of heads of Nifty 50 companies surged to a record 28.4 crores in FY22. Now, the remuneration of heads of 8 of these companies account for 50% of the entire pie. Sonal Bhutra joins us now with that analysis. Sonal?
As per this interesting data, which is compiled by my colleague Yusuf, the average remuneration for the heads or the chiefs, as you mentioned, of the Nifty 50 companies surged to a record level in FY22, that is at 28.4 crore rupees. And it's not only professional-run companies that top the list. Even promoter-led companies like Divis Labs and JSW Steel, they saw aggregate compensation of 140 crore rupees. Now, the average compensation in FY22 was up. We saw a 34% growth out there. And between FY18 and FY20, the average compensation, it averaged around that 17 to 18 crore rupees. So from there, it has come into 28.4 crore rupees. Now, let's get down to the names. Who really got the most amount of money? HCL Tech's boss, C. Vijay Kumar, was the top paid professional. Also because this included a long-term incentive from a subsidiary to the tune of $12.5 million. In the highest paid MD and chairman category, it was Sajan Jindal, and this was due to profit-linked commission of 121.7 crore rupees because of high profitability for the company. Wipro's CEO was the second highest paid head, that is in the Nifty pack, with an annual pay package of 79.8 crore rupees. For some of the IT majors, let's talk about them now. Salil Parekh of Infosys drew compensation of 71 crore rupees, CP Gurnani of Tech Mahindra drew compensation of 62.7 crore rupees, and Rajesh Gopinathan at 25.8 crore rupees. The compensation of clause includes salaries, bonuses, stock options, incentives, and other rewards paid during the year as well. The 4 IT firms, X of TCS, along with Divis Laboratories, JSW Steel, Hero Motocorp, and Shree Cement together account for 56% of the combined Nifty 50 remuneration of 1,419 crores in FY22. Other companies which saw doubling their CEO's compensation include L&T, Maruti Suzuki, Grasim, Apollo Hospitals, that is the company there. On the flip side, ICICI Bank, Kotak Mahindra Bank and HDFC Bank from the banking pack, they saw their CEOs taking lower remuneration than what they earned last year.
All right, Sonal, many thanks for those details. Now, on that note, it is time for us to head into a short break. But coming up next, the Russian-Ukraine war crosses the 6-month mark as Ukraine